So today discussion is about the Mediterranean or plant-based diet. I chose the Mediterranean diet mostly because I enjoy seafood, and seafood is a big component of the Mediterranean, or not really a big component of the plant-based diet. Um, the Mediterranean diet, from what I know, it has those three legs. The three legs being a diet that the food that you consume is the one leg. That is the fruits and vegetables. Then most fruits and vegetables and nuts. And then you go in and you have low-fat dairy, seldom, but it still exists, not as often as in the U.S. diets. I think that's mostly due to access to dairy and limiting of that. Then you also next step you go up is seafood. It has a lot more seafood involved in it. I mean, if you live on the Mediterranean, you get fresh seafood all the time. You might as well do it. You might as well eat it. You know, what are you going to get that's fresh? Seafood versus what are you going to get that's fresh? Versus other meats that you would get that are fresh. Going back, included in the fruits and vegetables are beans, and they don't eat beans all the time. They don't eat meat every day of the week. I think they only eat meats roughly, according to the Mayo Clinic site, they only eat meats 4 to 5 days a week maximum. Probably 3 to 5 days a week most of the time. Seafood twice a week, poultry maybe twice a week, and then other meats maybe once a week, and then the rest of the time they'll eat a lot of vegetables or fruits, beans, protein, legumes. And as you go up the meat, you get the poultry, and then you get the red meats at the top because they don't have as much access to those to beef as we do in the U.S. The other, at least back in the 1960s, which is what this diet is based on, the diet of the Greek and Crete area back in the 1960s, and southern Italy as well. The other leg, the next leg, second leg, is physical activity. Physical activity was very important back in the 1960s. Not just actually exercising, but physical activity during the workday. I'm sure a lot of hard labor. I mean, how are you going to get the fish? You're going to go fishing. Actually, fishing is hard work, not the relaxing fishing that you go out on the pond, catch a fish maybe. I mean, actually fishing for a living, that's hard work. Doing work for a living is hard work. But physical activity is also very important. And go for brisk walks, working in the fields, walking to work, as opposed walking or biking to work as opposed to taking a car, and among other things, or having the park farther away from where you work, so you have to walk the rest of the way, so on and so forth. And the third leg is food with family and friends and people you enjoy. So enjoying a meal, sitting down and enjoying a meal with people. So those three legs make up the Mediterranean diet. And I don't think either is actually more important than the rest, because if you look at just the food part of it, it's showing a very balanced, healthy diet. You're getting the nutrients, the phytochemicals, the The low saturated fat sources of protein most of the time. Plus, you're getting omega-3 fatty acids from your fish. You're getting vitamins and minerals from your vegetables and in some of your protein sources. Your high from the nuts. You're getting your high nutrient dense, although high caloric dense, but you're not eating as much, so you're getting high nutrient dense and foods. You're also getting the use of olive oil predominantly. It's a healthier, less saturated oil, more unsaturated fats. So that shows a good balance of your food. That's actually the balance that you want with your food. Then the physical activity is just as important, because if you're eating all that food, your own metabolic rate is going to consume it, but to help that metabolic rate and to also, but if it's going to help, well, let me backtrack. If you're going to eating all this food, even though it's not a lot, you might not be taking a lot. If you're just sitting on your butt all day and not being physically active and not taking time to exercise or finding ways to be more physically active, you won't be expending all the calories that you need to. Although you expend most of your calories through your metabolic processes, you still do not expend all the calories that you take in. So physical activity is just as important as the balance on your diet. And then some may skip over the food with family and friends, but I feel that it is very important, because in your life you need balance. Just as in your diet and in your physical activity, you need a balance. You need to maintain the right amount of physical activity, because too much can hurt you. Too little definitely can hurt you. And you need to eat the right amount of all the foods to to be balanced in the amount of nutrients and what you take in. But you also need balance in your life. You can't be just on the go all the time and working all the time and not having some family time. So I think mentally it helps you. But it also can help you on your diet and staying with your diet. Because if you have food with your families, you're going to prepare a meal. Yes. Yeah, there's let's order out pizza, that stuff. But the idea behind the Mediterranean diet is that you're preparing a meal for people. And it's easier, I find, to prepare a meal. In my own experience, it's easier to prepare a meal for people as opposed to preparing a meal just for yourself. So you prepare a meal just for yourself. One, it's hard to get the proportions right. So you may prepare several, you may prepare enough for several meals, and then what are you going to do? You might actually overeat it because you're like, oh, I have all this stuff, now what am I going to do? So you eat more than what you should. Or you're like, oh, there's no one around, so I'm on my own, so it's just as easy for me to go. You might slip into the habit of going and buying something for your meal, or to just prepare something easy that's not necessarily healthy for you and could be high in saturated fats, and so there's that. Whereas when you're preparing a meal for a family, you want to take care of it. You want to make sure it's good, and the flavors are good, and And then when you get to eating the meal, I hope I come from part of my family is Italian, so when we eat a meal together, when we get together on rare occasions with my extended family, usually 2-3 times a year, we talk at our meals. We discuss. We enjoy each other's company. We laugh. We enjoy the food we eat, but we take time to enjoy it. We take our time to eat. When you take your time to eat something, one, you might not eat as much, because you might get satisfied sooner, whether it's mental or actual physical satisfaction. You'll feel satisfied sooner, and two, sometimes you don't realize that how little you eat because you're talking, and the meal could take 2 hours instead of 2 minutes. When you eat something in 2 minutes, you'll tend to eat and just eat a lot. But when you take 2 hours, you can eat the same amount, and actually you'll feel better because it takes your body actually allows time to digest, and you're not stuffing yourself, and then your stomach hurts and you get inflammation, you feel bad, and I really do think, I didn't find anything on any of the websites that said this, but I really do think when you sit down and enjoy a meal with your family or your friends, and it kind of makes you take time to eat, your body actually feels better after that meal because you're not overeating, you're not eating too fast, so your body has time to react, and it's not having spikes of food and needs spikes of hormones and spikes of enzymes to break down the food. So I really do think that it helps over time. So I think it's just as important as the physical activity and the diet. Now, can you exist without it? Can like if you don't have family and friends? Yes, you can stick to a Mediterranean diet without it. But I believe it's just as important because not only does it mentally help you, it also I can believe it physically helps you, and it just helps give you total balance to your life. Because a diet is not just about the food, or not just about the food and the physical activity. A diet is about the lifestyle, and I really think that's the emphasis the Mediterranean diet is. The Mediterranean diet is not just about food; it's about a lifestyle. So, that being said, what leg of that do I think I want to work more on? The food with family and friends, I think I do a good job. There's times I don't have, I just don't have that many, that time. Schedules kind of make it hard to work on that. And I can't do anything about the schedules my family has. And diets, I think I do a very good job on that. I mean, there's always ways I can improve, but where I think I can improve the most is the physical activity. And so my goal is to do an average of at least 20 minutes of physical activities 6 times a week. So I'm saying an average of that. So like if I do 15 minutes one day, but I do 45 minutes another day, and 30 minutes another day, or 25 minutes another day. It kind of averages out, just so I can be able to adjust with time. But I want to at least average out to 20 minutes of physical activity a day. And I do want to make sure I'm doing at least 15 minutes of physical activity a day. So if I do 15 minutes one day and 25 minutes the next day, and then 20 minutes the next day, and do it about 6 times a week. Actually do it 6 times a week. So that's the goal I want to achieve for the physical activity part of it. I think that'll help. And then once I can get into like a routine of that, then I can tackle the other areas of and live by a Mediterranean diet, or a part of the Mediterranean diet. So now the next thing that we were asked to look at was a recipe. And don't worry, I'm going to have a lot of what I said, like the bullet points of what I said, written down. But for the recipe, and I will have the recipe actually written down, and I'm going to give you, and I got this recipe from allrecipes.com, and I think it fits the Mediterranean diet. But I'll go into why I think it is after I tell you what the recipe is. So I will write this recipe down, and I will have a link directly to the recipe. And it's on allrecipes.com, as I said. But I'll actually have a link directly to the recipe, so you don't have to go searching for it. So the recipe I have is pan-seared scallops with peppers and onions. With peppers, really. But there is some onions with it. And the components you need is olive oil, anchovy fillets, a pound of large sea scallops, or sea scallops, depending on how many you have to feed. You need a red and orange bell pepper. You need one large red bell pepper, one large orange bell pepper, or any color bell pepper could work. You need about a 2-ounce can of the anchovies, one red onion, and you want to coarsely chop that, 2 cloves of garlic, thinly sliced, actually not minced, sliced. That's actually an interesting thing. A minced lime zest, or you could just get a lime and zest it yourself, which I would suggest. I would suggest getting a lime and getting lemon and zesting those yourself. That way they come out minced. Anyways, I think it's you get a better, fresher taste when you do that, and you also get a lime juice and lemon juice for other recipes, which is good. And then you need, they say a pinch of kosher salt and pepper to taste. So it's to taste. So you might not need a whole pinch. You might need and you probably don't need a lot because of the anchovies. I think the anchovies actually help will help with the salt content. So I don't think you actually need a lot. So my suggestion is, when you do make this recipe, is that you would taste it before you add the salt and the pepper. And then some sprigs of parsley for garnish. And how you would do this is you would heat the olive oil and the minced anchovies in large skillets over medium-high heat. As the oil heats, it will dissolve the anchovies. Once the anchovies are sizzling, add the sea scallops and cook without moving the scallops for 2 minutes. Meanwhile, you want to toss the red bell pepper, the peppers, the red and orange bell pepper, although you probably can use any pepper. I wouldn't use a green, like you could use a yellow, or if you wanted, or you could use red and orange. It's just, you get a variety of colors. There's even this interesting, like, multicolored pepper out there that you probably could use too. The red onion, the garlic, the lime zest, the lemon zest in a bowl and season with salt and pepper. Now, again, I probably would wait to season that to see how it is when you toss it with everything else, with the scallops in that. Maybe you do the pepper, but don't do the salt just yet. And then you sprinkle the pepper mixture onto the scallops and continue cooking until the scallops have browned. And then at that point, I probably would taste it. Which should be about 2 minutes more. And then turn the scallops and stir the pepper mixture and continue cooking until the scallops are brown on the other side, 4 to 5 minutes. Now, scallops do not take a long time to cook, so this is great. And then once you have that served, you can garnish with parsley sprigs to serve. And this actually makes, it says it makes, hang on, I'm trying to find out how much it makes. I think it says 4 servings? Yeah, it takes about 45 minutes to prep, and it's about like 4 servings. So, it'd be perfect to have with people, but you could also make less. You could you could cut it down and make less in case you have to eat on your own. But it'd be great. You could have a meal with 4 people, and obviously you may want to. You can have it with pasta. I think on the website it shows it on top of some pasta, but I think that's a separate. So you could toss it on top of pasta if you wanted whole grain. Whole wheat pasta would be preferred on this, but it really sounds tasty. And why I think this actually meets the Mediterranean diet is one, it's you're using olive oil for one, so you're not like frying it in like high saturated fat. 2, you have the scallops, which are a seafood, so it's low saturated fat, some omega-3s. Probably from that. Anchovy fillets, omega-3s, and it's kind of replacing the salt part of it. You can probably use those to replace the salt part of it. Maybe use and then you have the vegetables of the red and orange bell peppers, and the red onion, and then you're flavoring it with the lime and the lemon zest and the garlic and the onion. So you're not really actually using the salt and the pepper, and you're using the pepper. So the salt is only really there to just give it that little extra punch, and you might not even need it. So there you go. And then you have parsley on top, another herb. So I think it fits within the Mediterranean diet. Now, is it a complete meal? No. You probably want to have a salad, maybe a bean salad on the side of it. There was this interesting radish salad that uses walnuts and radishes and mint and olive oil and lemon juice that I saw. I didn't talk about that one, so I'm not going to share that one, but again, that was also on allrecipes.com. That was a pretty good sounding salad that you could probably have with it. But so that's the recipe I have. As I said, I will share a link directly to it, and I will. And hopefully it sounds appetizing to other people, because it really sounds appetizing to me.